Welcome to Best Whole New World and Rising to Love. I know we're like 30 minutes past our usual time, but in this particular time, things are shifting and you have to be present to the shifts and the changes, so versus the time on the clock. So Melody Chadamoyo is here with us, and we're talking about rising to love through intimacy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Intimacy, Melody. I just realized that yesterday I was talking with Rosaria Langley about orgasms and laughter. and
okay.
It was on Following Your Bliss, and she had
yes.
And she realized she was redoing her living room, so she had to move into her bedroom to do the conversation. And so it was just coincidental. She happened to be in her bedroom when we were talking about orgasms and laughter. And now we're talking about intimacy, and intimacy again doesn't have to be in the bedroom, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's all through your life.
It's all through your life. But in this case, we also want to talk about the sex part of intimacy.
Ooh, must be something in the air this week. Okay.
Must be.
Because Rosaria even came up with the song, because she likes to come up with little shower songs, and it goes like, oh, 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 what a lovely day. But yeah, I'll send you the little clip afterwards. Yes, the oh, 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 what a lovely day.
Good. I'd love to see it. So intimacy is about getting close to somebody, to get familiar, to, with people that you're usually affectionate with or you're loving with. So you're getting into a deeper, more connected space where you are sharing more of yourself, where you're being more of who you are, so that they can be who they are as well, and you connect at a higher level. That's how I would define intimacy.
Okay, so I didn't have the word sex in there at all.
No, I'm not putting sex in there, because it also involves both emotional and physical closeness and openness. This is where the sexiness, the sexy comes in. That when you connect physically and emotionally, that's when you're joining sexually. And the reason why I think it's important that we talk about it is because the emotional part and even the spiritual part of sex has been taken out a lot. And we have just been left with the physical part, which is great, yes. But in order for sex to be awesome and amazing and intimate, you need the three of them. You need the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual part to come together,
Right. Well, that's even that idea of tantric, right? That has come into the idea that there's much more that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm echoing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Can you turn down your volume a little?
Okay.
Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, yes.
We're still reverberating. Okay, this is just I'm echoing. So in getting intimate, it's about vulnerability then.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. Because you can't expose yourself like that with a person you don't trust and that you don't feel safe with.
But what about the people that do? What about all the people that have been hurt and abused, and that sense of unworthiness just has perpetrated, perpetrated, that's the word. They were a victim of being, and so they're out of touch with that whole concept of being intimate. It's just
yes, they actually separate themselves from their bodies. So what they do is they are there physically, but emotionally and spiritually they're not there. They're not present. And most men don't even taught themselves to get this, but those who are connected with themselves are very aware. One of the things that Taurai and I used to do, and Taurai taught me about myself and my body actually, is I could never be elsewhere when I was with him.
Mm.
I couldn't. And because he would call me on it and say, you know what, if you're not interested, just tell me. Don't do this. And I would say, how did you know?
He watched the tea clip. You haven't seen that one? Did you see that one?
No.
Okay, so that one I'll have to show you too. But the one element of the British police are using a cup of tea for about sexual consent. And they're basically saying, you know, you wouldn't give someone a cup of tea when they don't want a cup of tea. And they might ask for a cup of tea, but then by the time you bring them a cup of tea, you boil the kettle, you get everything warmed up, and you get them the cup of tea, they don't want the cup of tea. You don't force them to drink the tea. You don't. But
no, you don't.
So your husband was just totally aware and astute. And his gift to you, which is also to us, is to allow us to be present so we can have deep, intimate relationships.
Yes, because until then, I actually didn't know that. And people used to say, you know, women can plan and destroy kingdoms while in the middle of having sex. And men can't do that. Men have to be totally there or else they are not there. And they can't do the two at the same time. But women have perfected the art of being absent during their sexual experiences.
Okay.
And as a result, they have taken away the pleasure that the two of you can create together. Because what happens is when you're in your body, when you're connected to yourself emotionally and spiritually, he is going to feel that. Not only is he going to feel that, he is going to feel welcome to get into your spirit. And so the joining that you have is at a way higher level that you will feel it emotionally and physically. You feel that beauty and joy and connectedness that I can't really describe. You just need to feel it. But it's also, it's so heightened that you feel like, you know, oh my God, this is amazing. But it's not just amazing. It's like getting to your higher self. It's getting to your higher self. And when you're at your higher self, everything else is amazing. You perform better at work. Your relationships are beautiful. Even your marriage is beautiful. Even the way you make money is easier and more fun and exciting. Everything in your life just gets so great. I think that's why God created sex anyway. I think.
Well, I would say it's about joy, right? Joy is the highest vibration. I feel that what I'm talking about these days is joy and laughter and celebration and the awe of life, right?
Yeah.
So what greater experience when you're with someone to be in awe on so many multiple levels?
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are in that state, you glow. That's why everybody says, "Oh, she's in a honeymoon, she glows," because you can't help it. It's like your spirit is fed from a higher space, and you can't help but glow. It's not just the blood flow. it's everything.
Yeah,
it's everything. Yeah.
So on the opposite side of it, right? Because we know we're having this series, and you have the role that you have in the world to share about love, that so many women have yet to really open their hearts to receive it for a variety of reasons. So the opposite side of having this wonderful, beautiful relationship and intimacy is the fact that they're closed down from the experience. Right? And they are just feeling, in a sense, that the sex is about something instead of the joy.
Yes. That's when they say I was used. That's why, because you only get used if you're not participating. You know, if you're participating fully, you can never turn back and say you used me.
Right.
And I've had this. I've one person that I know dearly. She's a sister of mine, a cousin of mine, and she said something that really broke my heart. I hope she will listen to this, because I couldn't say to her at the time because I wanted her to vent and stuff. And she said to me, she slept with this guy when she was, teenager, late teens. And she thought because she slept with him for the first time, he's the one who took away her virginity, as she says, then she should dedicate her life to him.
Okay.
But he's not there for her.
Right.
So it's been years, nearly 20 years now. She's holding on to this person who is married, who's living with somebody else, because she feels she can never enjoy life again with another human being, because she's held by this bondage that I gave you my virginity, you owe me.
Or it could be the fact that they, not just with your sister in that case, but others, that they feel they may want to be free and almost use men the same way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's conditioned to think that, some people is like whoever you lose your virginity to, that's the idea that you grew up with that pattern, that belief in that sense. And so although she might want to think differently, or others want to think differently, it's still holding them down to really receiving what's present. So this is why clearing your heart is so essential when you're in a relationship, because there is some science out there that says when you have sex with a man, that energy stays with you for 7 years.
Yeah, I actually think I don't think it actually goes away unless you decide to do the work to let that person go. Because the energy of joining with another person, it's very important. That's why I don't understand people who do hookups. Because you are just putting yourself in a very difficult position. Yes, it seems like you're free and you are a woman of the world and you can do like what men do and stuff. Unfortunately, sex was not meant to just be physical. It's very much a spiritual and an emotional thing. After that, that's why people call it the walk of shame. After you meet somebody in a pub, the Irish people call it the walk of shame. I don't know what they call them in Canada.
Yeah,
but the fact, yes, but if you imagine, if something is that beautiful and that amazing, why would you taint it with a word shame?
Right. Exactly.
If it was just fun, okay, so you had fun. Why not call it the whatever of fun? The repercussions of fun. Oh, so I had too much fun last night and I didn't get home until this morning. Why not that?
Yeah. Well, so for some women, they may actually meet a guy that is feeling like your husband was at saying, hey, you're not really into this. And they may be saying, hey, you know what? We don't have to have sex, or like, we don't have to do this. And the person, if they are still nursing their old wounds, is really hearing, oh, you don't want to have sex with me, or you're just not into me. Where really what we want you to get here in this conversation is the man is saying, hey, I actually honor you and I want you to be there, and I can sense you're not being there, so I don't want to violate that boundary, and you're totally hearing it the wrong way.
Exactly. That's why you find men can sow their wild oats as much as possible, sleep with 100 women or whatever, and never commit until they meet the one. But the one they meet is the one who opens herself up to him. The one who is so open and so ready to receive that she's not guarding herself. And all of a sudden he jumps into her and he thinks, oh my God. And I don't think jumps into her physically. I mean, spiritually and emotionally. And he says, oh my God, I never realized this was this great. Because now it's on a different level altogether. So
Right.
that's what I want to teach women, that, you know, it's not just about the physical. You can do the physical, it's okay. But if you really want to get a guy to commit to you, open up. Do the work for your heart to open up and be there, be present, be in your body with your mind, be in your body with your soul, be your body with your emotions. Just be there and see the amazing transformation that happens. You will see him looking dazed. He looks confused. And what just happened? Yeah.
So I have to bring up again because I feel like we're talking about so many women that were like me, you know,
Yes.
without that is there's a common term out there now called love bombing, which is what has been correlated or associated with somebody that's of a so-called narcissistic behavior. And they are just totally showering you with all this love and attention and sex. You know, it's like more, and they just like are craving you. And because that's what you're equating a relationship with, is how many times they're touching you and feeling you and wanting you and desiring you physically, you're become enamored with this whole thing, and it's love bombed, and you just are totally in it, and they have like hooked you. So also be conscious of that fact. Is it's about being, and you're only really by being present, or if you're in a situation like you're uncertain, that's where you like reach out to Melody and you know, just PM her and say, hey, you know what, I need a little session here because I'm thinking he's into me, but I've been listening to things and maybe I'm feeling differently. Or you're saying, I'm feeling like he's into me, but I'm thinking he's not, right? Because this is the head and the heart, and you want to be all present.
Yes, certainly. And before a man and a woman are available for sex, they have certain capacities that they have to have in order for them to be ready for it. In order for them to be ready for the type of sex we are talking about today, which is if you are upset or exhausted or off balance or sick or carrying shame, the focus and the receptivity that creates good sex won't be there.
Right.
So you need to be aware of that as well. If you are sleeping with somebody so that they will love you, what actually makes them love you will not be there. It will be absent. And you will just be doing yourself a disservice, actually, because you are just going to do something and then they think, she wasn't all that. But she wasn't all that because you were not there. Right. If you are present in your body, your spirit, your heart, they are so beautiful. They are so irresistible. There's no man who can resist them.
Right. And the astute guy, because, you know, as I've been practicing, I have met somebody that can actually, he'll say to me, because my eyes will shift, because that's exactly what will happen. It's like I'm talking in a conversation, and I'm present, and then all of a sudden I hear this other radio station in the background, right, as I'm receiving another thought, and I go there, and he'll just say to me, you've gone. You're not with me anymore. And I go, of course I am, because that's how I did it my whole life. Of course I am.
Of course I am. And he says, nah,
and he's
you're
like,
not.
No, you just shifted away. And it was like he had to call me on that for me to start to become aware of, that's what's going on. Because I've spent so much of my life disassociating because of all the abuse and the rape and stuff, that became a common pattern. So anything in some cases that became a little uncomfortable, it would be like, let's just move over here. But he was so present, he could call me on it.
Yeah, and most good men would notice. They would notice when you're not there. And then Taura used to say, Melody, where are you? And I say, what do you mean? I'm right here. And he says, no, you're not. Yeah. Because I wouldn't be there. And that's true. But that's taught me to be conscious of my body, to be conscious of myself, and to be conscious of my fears as well. Because sometimes when you're afraid and you don't share, because when I started expressing that, you know, sometimes I'm worried about this and I'm too tired. I remember we even got to a point where I said, you know what, if you want us to have sex at night after work and we have work tomorrow, 9:30, we are in bed. Otherwise, let's not even talk about it. And he respected that.
Right.
Because I'm the type of person who wants to be in bed by 10. I have to be relaxing. I will sleep by 11, but I want to be, you know, lulling myself into sleep for an hour or so, read my book, do my little bits and pray or whatever, and then get to sleep. So if I have to have that time and then think, oh my God, now I have to have sex, I resent you already. I'm like, oh my God, I have to have sex?
Right.
Huh? Why? What do you mean? You know, and even if I do agree, the magic is gone.
Right.
Yeah. My capacity for me to be at that level are gone. And he knew that. So he respected me and respected himself enough to make sure we were in bed on time. And the magic happened a lot, fortunately.
Well, I mean, that comes to the conversation of communication, right? And that whole, yeah. I mean, if you even know, for instance, I can just feel the energy. If you know that 9:30 bedtime means I'm getting lucky.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, you're like, he's already getting ready to go to bed at 25 after, right? It's just like, you know, you're like, it's happening.
It's happening today. Yeah. And it is, well, the other thing is we have a responsibility to fill our own sex tanks.
Yeah.
In that we need to make sure we are in a position to receive. Mm-hmm. Which means you have to take care of you. You need to make sure that you do plain things like, you know, some people like bubble baths, some people like massage, some people like, you know, do things that nurture you and empower you. Right. They then move on to, yes, being a servant, being the last person in bed every day, you doing everyone's laundry without any help because you think that makes you look like you're a good woman, is not giving you the capacity for the level of intimacy we are talking about here.
Right. And a lot of, I raised my hand because just being away this past week, and I came back and Destiny and Faith, and I found, okay, so they were here for 7 days without me, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, do I know that the house was chaotic or whatever when I was gone? Sure, absolutely. But that was their choice, right? It was their choice to do what they wanted. And now I was back, and it immediately, like, what we do is if there's leftovers of things, we'll just open the side door and leave them there for Shadow, our dog, mm-hmm. right? And he'll come and eat them. And generally, I will just pick up the plate like 5 seconds later and put it away. So I opened the door the other morning, and there's like, you know, a pot and 2 plates sitting out there. And already I'm feeling like I'm going to pick him up, right? And I'm like, hold on. I didn't put him out here.
No, yeah.
I didn't put him out here. And so it was a sense of realizing that so many of us women have just felt like that's part of this role that we're supposed to do things. And again, I feel it's about receiving. It's about you feeling you've got to do to get appreciated or loved or responsibility, instead of laying back and going, I'm here, I'm ready. And singing that song.
Yes. And you know, the biggest gift you can ever give to a man is to enjoy being with him, to enjoy sex with him, even to show him that you want him. You want his body. You actually appreciate it. If you want to make a man happy, just do that. Just go and touch his chest and say, "Oh my God, you're so lovely." And you know, he melts
Yeah.
Totally melts. You own him, basically. And I'm not saying in a bad way,
Right.
but it really means he will be there for you no matter what. Because who doesn't want to be wanted? Who doesn't want to be appreciated? And especially because men's bodies are always seen as the enemy. They're always seen as this thing that causes pain and suffering and stuff. So by appreciating him, by going to him and showing him you want him, and even telling him you want him, is the greatest gift in the world. And that's also one of the gifts that my husband gave me, because he said it one day after years of us being together. He said, you know, you never actually start this whole sex thing. And I feel like I'm tormenting you or something every time I say, how about? Because that's what he would touch my shoulder and say, how about? And I'd say, oh, okay. You know, not that I wouldn't want it. It's just that it's never really occurred to me to connect, to do that, to make the first move. And when I started doing it, I felt more confident and more empowered as well, because I felt like I have that effect on him. Oh, wow, that's amazing, you know?
Yeah. So there probably are, then, Melody, some guys that are a little protected for themselves of when they recognize that they might be attracted to a woman that isn't completely present, that they're in the relationship, and then they might draw back because they're feeling too close. Is that versus that they don't want you? It's that they're already into you and they're afraid of getting hurt.
Yeah, they would do this lackluster kind of, you know, like, I'm interested, but I'm going to leave all the power with you. So I'll kind of give you a hint that I'm interested in you. But if you don't catch on the hint, then I'll draw back. But what it really means is, I have tried this. I've been hurt so many times. I've been hurt so badly. I'm not going to try this again because it's too painful.
Right.
So they do this whole, you know, and you have to try and get your head around it, or try to read them. But you also, as if you're a confident woman, and say, oh, you know what, I'm open, you know, be free. What exactly are you trying to tell me? I'm not going to judge you. Just tell me. We're friends here, or we are colleagues, or whatever. We just tell me. And he's going to see that you're not going to be reacting like that. And especially if most of the time when there's an issue, you don't overreact. You don't react as if he's committing the worst crime ever, or that he's a man, he's a slob, and you can't stand him.
So he's just demonstrating that he's vulnerable. And
yes,
in this case, you've got to trust what you're feeling, that that's what he's saying, versus he's rejecting you because you felt like you've been rejected so long before. Oh, it's
yes.
a fine balance. You see why you need Melody as a coach. You know?
I know, right? I just wanted to say, how men feel their sex tanks is different from how women feel their sex tanks. If you want a man to get to that point where he's charged and he's in the zone to connect with you at a deeper level, allow him to do physical things. Encourage him to do physical things. Also encourage him to take challenges. And I'm going to say this to women who are in relationships, who are in long-term relationships. If your man does not do things that are challenging to him, he's not likely going to be able to connect with you deeply and intimately, because it's through their work that they get into themselves, that they connect with their bodies.
So if you're saying somebody's just doing a regular old job, there's no...
You still need to do something physical with his body. Encourage him to go running. Encourage him to join a sport.
Play hockey.
Yes, play hockey. Don't begrudge him that, because that's a gift for you. Okay. You need him to be doing those things, because when he does physical things, he is getting back into his body, and then he can be with you, because now spiritually and emotionally he's getting back into himself.
Right. So the woman who says, if you love me, you'll come home straight from work and you'll just sit on the sofa or have, clean up the dishes and do all the things that I want you to do, but he doesn't really want to do.
Have you ever looked at the men? They look beaten up. They look whooped. They are wimps. They're not men anymore. They're just, they're versions of men. I don't want to say versions of women because I'm actually insulting women. They're versions of men, and not, and you don't. Would you want to have a half-baked somebody with you just because it makes you feel in control?
Yeah, but I just want to paraphrase it. There are some men that it's not about sports. Okay, we just want to get that clear. You don't have to be sports. Yeah. You could be a fisherman. You could be a hunter. You could be a dancer. You could be a yoga instructor. There is something
exactly, but something that moves his your body. Yes, yeah, whatever it is, it could be walking.
Well, it could be that somebody working outside all the time, right? Like they could be a road guy, you know what I mean? But they're outside and they're moving their body all the time. That would they're still using their body. What you're saying is someone never uses their body. They go to work, use their mind, come home and just are like this robotic. They'll slowly lose their battery and their charge and their zest for life, and there goes your sex life.
And also, the funny thing is, even though they need to do that with their bodies, they also need to get enough rest. Because if he's tired and stressed and he's not resting enough, it's not going to be any good for you either. So there's a balance. But if you look at this, it's like it's teaching us how to be human. We have forgotten how to be human. We are now robots. We think we are masters of everything. When actually we still have the same bodies that were there 60, 70 years ago. We need to learn to get back into ourselves, connect with ourselves, connect with each other. But all this is bringing us back into the, be there, be present, be yourself. That's when you are able to connect with the other person at a deeper and more inspiring and joyful level.
Wow, this is obviously a very multi-layered conversation because intimacy is on so many different levels and there's so many, it's almost like a ripple effect, right? Because one particular action will cause someone else to react versus to be present and to respond. So we're going to have to carry on the conversation, Melody, again. As we're rising to intimacy, because
I was actually thinking today when I was preparing for this that there's this part. This is just the introduction, but it's the what do women get from sex? It's very different from what men get from sex, but it's also different from what your union gets from sex, which we haven't even touched on. So all those things, when you put them all together, they make the big, amazing, glorious. Like if everybody was doing this, if all of us, especially, if all of us, all men and all women, were getting the type of sex I'm talking about, the wars would be over. I mean it. There would be no war in this world. People would be too happy. They just, sure, let him run.
So I see John Lennon and Yoko Ono in bed saying, give peace a chance.
Yes, give peace a chance. Love each other.
That's it.
But love is the answer. Really, it is. Love is the answer to everything.
So if you've just heard us for the very first time, Melody has a whole series that you can have access to, a 7-part series to just open your heart. You can connect with her at heartpassioninstitute.com. You can find her on Facebook. Just send her a PM, and she's happy to book a session with you and get you clear, because first it's probably just a clearing and then a plan, because there's many different avenues, and whether it's one-on-one coaching or course material, group material that she's got going. And you're in great hands.
Yeah. Thank you, Jacqueline. Yeah, it will be so good to connect and be able to help people to get this amazing way of doing things.
We are rising to love through intimacy, and we will carry on the conversation next week. So have a beautiful week. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Mwah.